Monday night, March 16th, 2015. It's your host right here, the one and only Black Avenger, aka the Black Azrael Lee Sanders. Thank you all so much for checking out a all new. And for the next little bit, we're live right now. So shout out to those of you that's joining us live right now as we're talking WWE Raw Fallout this week. Now, for those of you that might be looking for actual WWE Raw footage, you know the drill, or at least you should know by now. But if you're new, we got your hook up, all right? You want to head on over to WWE Fan Nation right here on YouTube, or depending on your cable satellite provider / package, you might be able to check out WWE Raw later on in the week. Guys, let me know how the stream is doing, as I think I have maybe one too many applications open over here, so it could be running a little bit slow. But hey, as always, I appreciate you guys taking the time out to check us out every Monday night. Post your comments down below. Hit us up on Twitter at the RCWR show so we can do our best to make you be a part of this episode. Before we dive into the talk of tonight's WWE Raw, I'm actually going to keep it very, very short tonight as far as my review goes. I know some of you guys, you've heard that in the past and you're like, yeah, we're going to get the usual. Lee's probably going to go about 45 minutes, an hour strong. There's only but key points I want to talk about, and you guys should be a little bit used to this by now, the new trend that we're trying to do, which is only talk about key things, not go overkill and telling you every single nook and cranny that came about from Raw on Monday nights. It's just a little overkill considering you guys are already sitting through about 3+ hours of the show, you know. But a quick programming note, this Wednesday night, March 18th, at 9:05 p.m. Eastern, we're going to be live on YouTube to present to you guys a special Call That Match edition, as we're going to be tackling WrestleMania. So make sure you join us for that. I'm going to be going all in depth. It's going to be a really fun and insightful show. Join us for that. If you're following us on our Facebook like page, you'll have the links, or if you're following us on our Google Plus page, we've already created the event and all that, so you can easily either say you're going or bookmark it, add it to your favorites, come on back when we're live, all right? So as far as tonight's WWE Raw goes, I got to tell you, it was a real excruciating challenge to sit through the whole 3 hours this week. I know there were so many people that were vocal last week in their commenting on Raw from last week that felt as though maybe I was being a little bit too kind to the episode, as many have felt that that episode was really lackluster. But I gotta tell you, just comparing last week's episode to this week's episode, to each its own. But for me personally, and this is just my honest take, to each its own, but for me personally, I really found this episode to be very, very challenging to watch. I kept dealing with, man, I just want to go to sleep, or man, I want to watch Better Call Saul, or I just can't help but say to myself, man, it's a good thing I have on the DVR a boatload of episodes of Lucha Underground I can catch up on. It's a good thing I have episodes of The Walking Dead I can catch up on, because when you have those weeks, and WWE has been giving us many weeks now where it's been very excruciating to sit through the whole 3 hours. And I get that, the WWE corporate empire, hey, they're in a position where doing this whole 3 hour thing, they're bringing in more revenue. It's opening them up to branching out to more sponsors and all that. I get that. I can appreciate that. But at the same time, quality rather than quantity, very challenging tonight. And look, only a couple of things that really jumped out at me off the break. Of course, number one, who is next to go into the WWE Hall of Fame. If you follow Rolling Stone magazine, their website in particular, you would have gotten a notification. I know a little bit shortly afterwards, WWE, they did put out some type of an announcement of their own. But in case you didn't watch Raw tonight, you didn't check out the Rolling Stone news feed, you're not subscribed to it or whatever, it looks like the living legend Larry Zbyszko is going to be going into the WWE Hall of Fame. I am freaking ecstatic that Larry Zbyszko is going into the WWE Hall of Fame. And I'm proud to say that as a kid growing up in the 80s, I actually got to see a lot of his matches in the AWA. And, you know, I briefly remember a little bit of work that he was doing in WCW. I remember what he did in TNA. I thought the video package that was used for Larry Zbyszko was freaking on point. I thought it was solid. I thought it was a good introduction to the newer WWE universe. It told you everything that you needed to know. Those of you that maybe did not see the video package, basically, Larry Zbyszko's career pretty much was the result of training with Bruno Sammartino, and it was Bruno Sammartino who, if y'all don't know, we actually interviewed him a couple of years ago on our radio edition of the RCWR show. It was a fantastic interview. When you get done with this, you're more than welcome to go check it out. It is here available on YouTube for you guys. Just check out the guest exclusive section, playlist rather, and you can find it in there and enjoy some of the other great interviews that we've conducted over the years. Those of you that's looking for the podcast version or audio version of it, I don't know, you know, maybe I might do like a best from the vault this week, and maybe I'll put Bruno Sammartino up since we do have a new iTunes feed and all that other good stuff. Maybe that'll help you all out for those of you that want to hear it audio wise instead of being at work in your cubicle or at school and you got YouTube playing. I don't want you guys to get in trouble, you know. But, you know, Larry Zbyszko, he came in and had got training from Bruno and all that, and looked like he had a very bright future when he was starting off. He worked briefly in the WWE when it was the WWF. And I remember him and Bruno Sammartino, they had like this exhibition match. And when it was all said and done, Bruno had defeated young Larry Zbyszko, who at the time was a face. And at the end, you know, he extended his hand like, hey, kid, you know, you did pretty good. You know, better luck next time. But, hey, you're on the right path. Good, you know, good match, you know, good exhibition. And Larry Zbyszko just went freaking livid. I mean, he just freaking beat the living tar out of Bruno Sammartino to the point that Bruno was bloodied, and it basically had set up Zbyszko going heel and having such great animosity and hatred towards Sammartino. It began this long program with the two, and it basically culminated for your wrestling historians at Chase Stadium in New York, 1980. Where we saw Sammartino finally get his revenge on Zbyszko in front of 36,000 wrestling fans. Yes, I said that right. Over 36,000. So, you know, you just imagine how wrestling was back then, especially when it came to the New York territory. You know, WWE was always making the rounds at Madison Square Garden and all that. So, you know, hopefully, I don't know yet that they've announced that Zbyszko's going to the Hall of Fame. I would think that there's already some great stuff that's on there. I've been watching WCW off and on the past couple of weeks. I'm like about probably 7 episodes away, maybe 5 from when the NWO come in. So those of you that know your WCW and all that, you know, not to jump ahead a little bit, but at one point, Larry Zbyszko, he was employed in WCW. He had started off hosting, I think, WCW Pro. I think that might have been the name of the show. I believe he was hosting it with Gordon Sully, the late Gordon Sully, and then eventually in 1997, he took over the first hour of the announce team for Nitro. It was him teamed up with Tony Schiavone. And you all recall when the NWO came in, Zbyszko, Scott Hall, they kind of had their little thing going on, while Zbyszko, he was just trying to do everything he could to just him and Scott Hall, man, they had some really good chemistry going back and forth. So Zbyszko was dealing with Hall, the NWO. Eventually, that turned into Zbyszko feuding with Eric Bischoff. The two of them had a match where control of WCW was up for grabs. Bret Hart was the special referee. That was kind of like almost around the time when Bret Hart had jumped ship after the whole Survivor Series Montreal screw job went down and everything. And I'm trying to think. From there, I remember Zbyszko had a feud with Kurt Hennig. Again, in WCW, they were kind of following up on what they did in the AWA. And I can't talk about Larry Zbyszko without showing love to the work that he did in AWA. I mean, he did his thing all throughout the circuits. I remember he wrestled Bruno Sammartino's son on the circuits for a good minute. But for me, because I'm a big fan of AWA, I remember a lot of his work going down over there. I remember because I think he made the pit stop to AWA, I think 3 times total over the years leading up to him going to WCW. And one of the times that he went over there, he had a very long, lengthy feud with Sergeant Slaughter. And he also was getting into it with Nick Bockwinkel. It was a great program that they had going on. I think their rivalry culminated in a steel cage match or something like that. I'm not sure. My mind is a little rusty right now. See, what else? He helped Kurt Hennig become the AWA champion. He was infamously known for that one. Told you about the WCW stuff. TNA wrestling. I have a little bit of fond memories in TNA. I remember he was feuding with the phenomenal one, AJ Styles, something that really doesn't get talked about a lot. Everybody that has been talking about AJ Styles and how he left TNA and, all this other stuff. And everybody was jumping the bandwagon when Ric Flair had took AJ Styles. And, we all saw the result of that. AJ Styles basically ended up becoming a Ric Flair's junior wannabe, and I think he'll attest to that. Matter of fact, he actually said that was probably one of his low points in TNA wrestling, because it kind of didn't go the way he had planned, although he did appreciate the fact that he got to, team up with Ric Flair. He got to be managed by him and all that, and just getting the wealth of knowledge that he was able to get from him. But his time and his program that he worked with AJ Styles, culminating in a match where Zbyszko told AJ Styles, if you can pin me twice in 10 minutes, I'll be your manager. AJ Styles was only able to pin him once, and he was like, you know what, I'm going to manage you anyway. But Vince Russo, he put it into that bad boy real quickly. And then there was an infamous feud that Larry Zbyszko had with Raven in TNA wrestling, folks. Yes, Larry Zbyszko and Raven culminated in a hair versus hair match, of which I believe it was Zbyszko that had lost his hair. And I'm trying to think about one of the final times we saw him in TNA. I believe he feuded with Eric Young. And basically it was loser is fired from TNA or something to that effect. And that was pretty much the last time that Larry did anything with the TNA wrestling promotion. So, yeah, I mean, I'm full of knowledge. Sometimes it's like pulling teeth in the mind right here. But as you can tell, I'm definitely a Larry Zbyszko fan. I'm excited as hell that the man is going in. Long overdue. And when you just look at what was going on with this year's WWE Hall of Fame card over the past several weeks, I mean, other than Macho Man Randy Savage, you just kind of couldn't help but look at the Hall of Fame card and just kind of go, well, with all due respect to Connor the Crusher, excluding him, okay, you couldn't help but look at the Hall of Fame card and go, this Hall of Fame card this year, it's and take that to the people that was like, oh, it's going to be Kevin Nash. I kept hearing that all weekend. Kevin Nash is going in. Yeah, whatever. Honestly, it's so funny. Me and a buddy of mine were talking about this earlier today, and we were talking about how everybody was like, Kevin Nash is supposedly going to be announced, and we both were saying the same thing. Kevin Nash don't need to be nowhere near the Hall of Fame anytime soon, not before a bunch of other people go in for him. Not bashing the guy or anything like that, but he, to my mind at least, I think just the fact that he can be inducted in the Hall of Fame as the NWO, I think that's really enough as it is. I don't really think he should be going in as just a singles guy. That's a tricky one right there. If you're going to induct Kevin Nash, what exactly are you bringing to the table to convince the wrestling fans why he needs to go into the WWE Hall of Fame? What are you going to bring up? The infamous run that he had as a WWF champion for 1 year? How he was Shawn Michaels' bodyguard? That's not really enough when you look at what's going on with Kevin Nash and his body of work in the WWE. Are you maybe going to go with WCW? I mean, other than the NWO, there really wasn't anything Hall of Fame worthy that was there. I know I'm probably going to be pissing some people off that may be yelling as they're watching this right now. I welcome a really great conversation about this, a great debate. For those of you that disagree with me, give me your thoughts. Just be respectful, as I'll definitely give you the time to offer your rebuttal. Help me maybe see where you're coming from. But I'm glad Larry Zbyszko is going into the Hall of Fame. Other honorable mention as far as Raw tonight. Oh, where do I even begin? Well, I tell you what. I love the fact that Orton opened up the show. You're keeping track of what happened with Raw last week. Randy Orton opened up the show, so pretty much this go round, it was somewhat Randy Orton opening up the show, but we had Seth Rollins basically set the tone, basically talked about the ass whooping that he took at the hands of Randy Orton last week to end Raw. And just because it was a 15-minute talking segment basically, and there was way too many of these for me. I mean, and I love Paul Heyman, don't get me wrong. Paul Heyman, he is freaking, but I kind of agree with what some of you guys are saying about Paul Heyman is just being used just a little bit too much. But I mean, can you blame them? Because it seems like the past several weeks, especially with WrestleMania season finally here, it just seems like the writers have just been a little bit lazy creatively, and it's like, oh, we got 15 minutes that we need to get. Well, Paul Heyman is so good, let him go out there and let him sell. And I gotta admit, the promo that Paul Heyman cut tonight on behalf of his client Brock Lesnar, I mean, it was okay, but it wasn't as good as last week, the week before. And if you guys just really compare, and that's no diss to Paul Heyman, honestly, when you just keep, rolling the dice, and it's like 7, oh yeah, 7, hot damn, 7, ooh wee, eventually snake eyes. And this week, Paul Heyman, wasn't the best 15-minute promo that I saw him cut compared to what he did during the other weeks. But I think we saw like a grand total of about, God, it really felt like we had at least 3 15-minute talking segments. But I'm just going to say 2 to be on the safe side. Just a little bit too much for me, as Seth Rollins, he did accept Randy Orton's challenge to fight one-on-one at WrestleMania. So we have that match now set in stone. But in the meantime, Seth Rollins had a interesting stipulation of his own to Randy Orton, which was basically, hey, I'll do this match at WrestleMania if you fight me tonight one-on-one. And from there, we had saw Seth Rollins later on in the night. He was trying to give a little bit of a pep talk to Kane, Big Show, telling them how he doesn't want them to fumble, basically like they did last week. And that kind of rattled their cages a little bit. They actually decided, you know what, Seth, screw you. You're on your own. Seth Rollins would then go to J&J Security. They decided, you know what, because again, he played the card with them as well, telling them, hey, you know, we need to be united this week, you know, no mess ups like last week. And Jamie Noble's like, hey, Seth, you dismissed us last week. You told us to take a hike. If you would have listened to me, we would have had this all under control. You know, what the heck? And we saw Seth Rollins pimp slap Jamie Noble. I can't say Jamie Noble without saying Jamie Noble, boy, woo! I gotta make sure I put that in there. And J&J Security, they roll out. We see Seth Rollins try to talk to Stephanie McMahon, Triple H, say, hey, you see what's going on with Kane, Big Show, J&J Security? They pretty much hung me out to dry. What are we going to do about this? And we saw Stephanie say to Seth Rollins, it's time for him to be a big boy and man up, start handling his own business, start taking care of business. He didn't like that response from Stephanie. He had a little bit of back talk. Loved a great exchange between Triple H and Seth Rollins. I mean, something was there. I don't know if you guys were really picking up that vibe. You know, sometimes when you just watch those moments play out on TV and you have a moment like what went down, I mean, it was only 15 seconds that Seth Rollins and Triple H, they had their interaction as we basically saw Seth Rollins say to Triple H, what you're done playing hide and go seek with Sting, and that kind of set Triple H off big time, to the point that Hunter told him, you know, you best get out of my face before something bad becomes worse for you. And pretty much you go to the main event match. Looks like Randy Orton's going to get Seth Rollins one-on-one. Seth Rollins tells Randy Orton straight up, it took you 3 weeks to orchestrate. I was able to do in 3 hours. It turned out all the stuff that we were seeing throughout the night was nothing more than mind games to get Randy Orton in the middle of the ring by himself, making him feel comfortable or whatever. And, you know, I kind of had a little bit of a problem with the fact that the whole Authority comes out. They're right behind Seth Rollins or whatever. Randy Orton, I don't know, maybe it's just the little things for me, but Randy Orton, he goes and leaves the ring, grabs a steel chair, goes right back inside the ring. And, you know, I don't know, for me, you know, I like the fact that he stood his ground and everything like that, but I wish they would have kind of really went in there and they would have just ran down there, rushed him, you know, do all that. But I like how it played out, as it looks like the odds are not in Randy Orton's favor, as the Authority, they surround the ring, they get in there. It looks like it's about to be a beatdown. Lights go out, you hear the crow, Sting. What are the odds of that? Sting side by side with Randy Orton. I'm sure Randy Orton deep down inside was probably having a really great mark out moment, as we saw Sting and Randy Orton. They cleaned house. They handed J&J Security their ass. We saw Sting get a little bit of Triple H, just a little tiny bit. Great moment right there. I thought that was a strong way to end Raw. I love the fact that 2 weeks ago, I brought up the idea of Eric Bischoff popping up, and maybe they could do something exclusive on the WWE network where they have Sting talk, like you actually get to hear the words out of his mouth, not some audio edit. Well, if you change the pitch, it'll sound like Sting, not like what we got last week. And I thought it was interesting how WWE, I don't know, I just thought it was interesting, the idea that I had a couple of weeks ago. And I see a lot of people say this. It's not just me, but a lot of people, you, the listeners, the fans, say, I don't know, Lee, somebody in WWE might be listening to you. They might be checking out your show because you say certain things live on Monday nights, and then the next week or 2 weeks later, in some shape or form, it's kind of implemented. What do we get? Those of you that don't have the WWE network, we get an exclusive on the network, Sting and Randy Orton talking. Yes, Sting, Randy Orton talking. As I watched it, it really wasn't that much. It was like about maybe 3 minutes. Randy Orton basically said to Sting, hey, look, no disrespect, but I'm the type of person, I don't ask for help. I usually don't need help, but it was pretty freaking cool what you did. He shook Sting's hand, and I'm looking at that, and I'm just saying to myself, man, so we saw Seth Rollins, Triple H. That looks like a future match waiting to happen. I'm looking at Randy Orton and Sting. I'm saying to myself, my God, that looks like a future match waiting to happen if they can make everything align right. I would love to see that. I don't know about you guys. And we finally hear Sting speak as Michael Cole asked him to describe how it feels to be in the WWE ring and all that. And, Sting basically said it feels good, and that, Triple H, he's got him at WrestleMania. I mean, that was basically it in a nutshell. Sting kept it short, simple, very brief. And I was a little bit concerned about Sting when he first started talking, because I was kind of like, where's this going? Kind of seems like maybe it's going to go a little bit into a slope or whatever. Where's this going? But it was a nice, decent promo that he cut. Like I said, very short, very brief, nothing you can really sink your teeth into and go, oh man, nothing like that. Okay. Other than that, I got to be honest, there was nothing match-wise that was really eye-catching for me. Nothing really grabbed my attention. The Cena-Rusev contract signing. So let me see if I got this straight. So looks like Napoleon Dynamite has finally decided to join the new millennium. He got a haircut and all that, but he has like this atrocious Russian accent. As the $1 million question that was on a lot of people's minds, where is the beautiful and the lovely Lana? It's just not a Monday night unless you see that nice little tight body that belongs to Lana with those nice little tight outfits and all that. It's shut up. Something about the way she says shut up. I find it stimulating. I needed my Lana fix. I did not get my Lana fix. I was a little bit disappointed with that. Hopefully she's okay. But I really didn't care about the contract signing. The Brock Lesnar, I guess, video package that he cut on Roman Reigns, I thought that was very interesting. I loved how Brock Lesnar had said, as far as my status goes with WWE, if I stay with WWE, I'll remain champion. And he said something like, if I leave WWE, I'm still going to be champion. Basically, it's like, I'm going to be champion no matter what. And I love how he said he's going to go to WrestleMania. Like, as far as his thoughts on WrestleMania, he basically said, look, as far as I'm concerned, that's an event I'm going to show up at, kick somebody's ass, get one hell of a payday. That is just as simple as that, how he broke it down. And I just loved it. I mean, it just felt like I've been very pleased with how they've been utilizing Brock Lesnar, to the point that if you've noticed, since Brock Lesnar has been back, the few times that he has spoken, practically all his segments are done backstage. And that's for now. Look, not taking away from Brock Lesnar. I remember the first stint in WWE. Brock Lesnar, he could talk pretty well. He held his own pretty good. Once the whole alliance with Heyman was done and all that, he talked pretty well. I thought he seemed to be coming around together. The little bit that he talked in the UFC, that was one point as well. But I don't know, man. I just love. I know some people probably don't like it, but for me, I love the controlled environment of a Brock Lesnar backstage somewhere, and he's doing these great sit down, shoot promos or whatever. I love it. It's got a great MMA/boxing pay-per-view feel. You can't help but deny that, and it like gets you excited even more to see what exactly is this man going to do when it comes to that pay-per-view. And I love how WWE has just been continuing to utilize this man in a prize fighter type of capacity. Next week is going to be very interesting. We're going to have Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar. They're going to be face to face. Now, see, if they would have said contract signing for that, I would have found that to be a little more interesting than the Rusev John Cena. That little bootleg Texas Russian dude, Napoleon Dynamite, he really ruined it for me. See, other than that, I got to give a nod to the Divas this week. And I got to give a nod to the commentators, despite the fact that Michael Cole messed up and said that WrestleMania will start at a special time of 8 p.m. Eastern, leaving you to believe that WrestleMania wasn't going to go off until midnight or some crap like that. And JBL was just grilling him. I was loving that tremendously. But I got to give it up to the AJ Lee versus Nikki Bella match. We had AJ Lee defeat Nikki Bella. That had got two whole segments to play out, so you were looking at about maybe 15 minutes total for that match. I love the enthusiasm that the commentators have been bringing to the Divas matches pretty much ever since the whole Give Divas a Chance had trended. And good Divas matches. It really kind of seems like it's coming. Other than that, there really was not anything else that really jumped out at me match-wise. I'm calling it for what it's worth. This was a very lackluster Raw, despite the other good nods that I had brought up. And it's very surprising to me because normally this time of year, I said it a couple of weeks ago, for those of you that remember, basically, we get like 5 weeks before WrestleMania, and usually the first Raw after their final pay-per-view to set up WrestleMania, that is usually strong. There's about 2 weeks where Raw is a little so-so, and then the last 2 weeks they hit a home run, and no home run on this episode. So I'm really hoping that they bring it big time when it comes to next week. I hope they just go all balls out there, and because I just can't help but feel for you guys that are like, Lee, they're not making me want to watch WrestleMania, and I can totally understand where you guys are coming from. It kind of feels like this go round, you kind of have to will yourself to watch WrestleMania. I mean, then again, if you have the network, that's a very interesting question. You have the network. Are you still going to watch WrestleMania since it's part of your package, or are you going to skip? And I actually know people who have the WWE network that told me straight up, Lee, I'm skipping WrestleMania. I just don't care about the card. Well, what about Sting versus Triple H? I'll catch the replay, or somebody will upload that match in its entirety, torn or whatever. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, what about Undertaker versus Bray Wyatt? I'll catch that online too. So how do you guys feel about that? Are you pumped for WrestleMania? Are you going to make it your business to watch? Let me know. Maybe I'll bring back the RCWR show poll. We used to do a poll a long time ago. I don't know. Maybe I'll bring that back and we'll poll you guys or something. Let's get to you guys' comments and let's see what maybe you had thought about Raw tonight, or maybe a question or two you'd like me to address. Speaking of questions, I got to give you guys a shout out. A lot of you all had some really good questions that you pitched to me over the past couple of weeks, and we actually answered those questions and played them on last Tuesday's RCWR show podcast. So check it out when you guys get a chance. If you have questions you'd like for me to address on a future episode, it could be on here and or it could be on our radio edition. Post them down below. Use the hashtag the RCWR show, or you can head on over to our website at infinityoneproductions.com. Infinity with an E, put in the actual number 1, and there's a RCWR show voicemail tab. As soon as you land on our website, it's like in the upper left-hand corner. Leave your message, be on point, 90 seconds or less. Doesn't cost you a thing. It's totally free, long as you have a built-in mic. I don't care if you're using a smartphone, Android phone, tablet, desktop, laptop. I don't care. As long as you have a built-in mic, you can leave a message. All right. Let's get to you guys' comments. Oh, yeah. And one more time, I want to give you guys a heads up. We are going to be doing a special Call That Match edition of WrestleMania this Wednesday night, 9:05 p.m. Eastern. So if you love your NXT, pretty much as soon as NXT goes off on the East Coast, that's when you come check us out. All right. Get to you guys' comments now. See what we got. Let's kick it off with Andre. I know WWE would not approve of this, but it would have been great if Sting came down from the rafters and landed in the middle of the ring. That would have been epic. Tonight's ending was epic. Anyway, it was a strong ending. I just can't imagine how many people probably tuned out, though. That's the real question. How many people tuned out after saying to themselves, this is kind of weak. I'm going to watch something else. And I'd be pleasantly surprised to hear that their ratings for this Monday's show does extremely well. We should know how they do next week. Weston, hey Lee, how would you feel if Brock Lesnar did beat Roman Reigns, but instead of a double turn or anything like that, if Paul Heyman extends his hand to Roman Reigns and Roman Reigns grabs Paul Heyman's hand and gives him a handshake, which would make Reigns a Paul Heyman guy, and it gives 2 monster heels to Paul Heyman? Your thoughts? I'm not talking anything about that until our Call That Match edition this Wednesday. I will tell you exactly how I feel about the Brock Lesnar Roman Reigns match and how I personally would book it from a writing standpoint / booking standpoint if I was able to do it. Jeremy, Lee, good evening. As always, do you expect a memorable WrestleMania or just an average show? What match are you looking forward to most as well? Love the show. God bless, buddy. Again, I'm not talking about WrestleMania until this Wednesday night, 9:05 p.m. Eastern, right here on YouTube. Any WrestleMania questions, letting you know right now, I'm not answering it till Wednesday. Trust me, it's going to be worth checking out. Ray, what's up, Ray? Lee, when do you think Rollins will cash in Money in the Bank? After WrestleMania, there's only 2 pay-per-views for next Money in the Bank. But if Roman wins the title at Mania, the WWE is basically calling him the man. So if Rollins cashes in, then the WWE would basically be saying Roman isn't the guy after a short title reign. Good question. I'm not answering it until this Wednesday. I feel like I'm a mayor or like a president, and like I keep getting the same question asked, and it's kind of like I'm pleading the fifth, basically. I can say one thing. Seth Rollins is very, very close to surpassing Edge's reign or consecutive run holding the Money in the Bank briefcase. I believe Edge came in at like 280 days. I think Seth Rollins right now is at like, I think 270 or 272. I saw it somewhere earlier today. I can't remember. I want to say it was on WWE's website. I'm not really sure. See what else we got right here. Dawn, what do you think of WWE trying to pick up the Briscoe brothers and Jimmy Jacobs? Do you agree ROH? I'm saving that for Tuesday's radio show. Because that's kind of not really. I want to keep it on Raw tonight. See what else we got. Mick, Raw this week didn't keep me in tune throughout the whole show. Nice to know I wasn't the only one, Mick. LKO, if Hall is in, Natch has to be off not wrestling ability, but he was a part of major storylines. Okay. Echoing, stretching on the mic. I don't know what's going on with that. That's never been an issue before. I'll look into that. I'm reading another question here. Bear with me. I'm trying to skim this really fast. I don't even need to spend 3 minutes on this question. As far as which manager, past or present, would I personally like to see be by the side of Undertaker? Percy Pringle, Paul Bearer. Enough said. See what else we got here. I addressed what was going on with Goldust and Sting. Not Goldust and Sting. I addressed what was going on with Goldust and Stardust being dropped from the WrestleMania card, possibly. I addressed that on last Tuesday's radio edition of the RCWR show. So check that out. Who else we got? Let's see. What's up, Austin? This build for Mania just doesn't have me interested as I should be, but great to see Sting get physical before Mania. He looks a little buff, doesn't he? He looks like he's been doing a little bit of weightlifting and all that. I would really, really love to see Sting come up out of that t-shirt, man. I want to know what's going on under there. I would hope the man's been working out. I mean, his arms look like it's a little bit more defined and all that. I don't know. I could be wrong, but he looks to be a little bit more healthier. Looks like he's been. He does look like he's in better shape, because I remember one of the last few times I saw him in Sting. He kind of had a gut going on. He looked a little tired, so I can't help but wonder where exactly he's going to be when it comes to this match against Triple H. And let's see what else we got here. Can you make Sting in WWE 2K14? You basically are talking about the you want to try to make the new Sting. If you have the game, you should. I mean, last I heard, there was a creative mode. Because right now, it looks like for that WWE 2K15, I hope you're talking about 15. You said 2K14. I know for 15, Sting is a downloadable character, but it's classic Sting with the long hair and all that. And then Jock, as far as the Hall of Fame, Chris Benoit. There's a video I did maybe 3 years ago. It's titled Chris Benoit 5 years later or something like that. It's on our YouTube channel. I recommend you check that out. Maybe I'll put a link in there and you can check out exactly what I have to say about Chris Benoit. I think at this point, I probably won't bring up the Chris Benoit tragedy and Hall of Fame, and I probably won't bring all that up again until maybe the 10th anniversary of his death. That's probably when I'll bring it up again, but I would refer to that excerpt that I did. I talked about it for about probably 20-25 minutes, and every single point that you're bringing up was addressed in that piece, so check that out. And other than that, wait a minute, I got one more comment I gotta check out. Yes, there was a lot of rear end shots of AJ versus Nikki Bella, Weston. I'm just glad you noticed that because I definitely was noticing that. All right, one show in the books. We got another one coming up right here, YouTube. But first, this Tuesday night, March 17th, 10 p.m. Eastern, we got an all new and live radio edition of the RCWR show. Make sure you check that out. We're going to be going a little bit all over the place on that one. I'll hook you guys up with the very latest wrestling entertainment headlines. And also, we'll address some of you guys' questions. Remember, you can comment below, use the hashtag RCWR show, send your questions on Twitter, or leave a voicemail message. If you have your own show, I don't mind you commenting with our community, but first things first, out of courtesy, make sure that it's okay from yours truly that you can post comments, because I've seen some people that just hop on and they in a nice little clever way they're trying to promote themselves, and I don't mind a little cross promoting as long as you're respectful and you kind of ask up front and all of that good stuff. All right. And I don't know about Lana. I see a question about Lana. I don't know, man. I don't know. Tuesday night, 10 p.m. Eastern, Spreaker.com. Join us for that one. And then come on back Wednesday, March 18th, right here on YouTube. We'll do the WWE WrestleMania Call That Match edition. Remember, 9:05 p.m. Eastern. Soon as NXT is pretty much wrapped up, we'll come on at 9:05, talk about the WrestleMania card. It's going to be very fun and very in-depth, and most importantly, original. So make sure you join us for that. And that is going to do it. I wish you guys a very good night. Good morning. We didn't go that long. I'm kind of happy with the length. You guys are happy? Yeah. Win-win for everybody. Be safe, be kind to one another. Everybody, take care.